thing I definitely suggest as a hint and tip is to get one of these electric 12-volt air pumps for your inflatable kayaks. This is MB8020. This thing, if you use it, you'll realize, boy, I'm going to use this kayak a lot more because it's so much easier than using the hand pump. So let me just show you a few seconds of what it looks like when it's operating. So watch how fast this thing comes up. It's coming up really fast. Sorry, the boat's dirty. And now we're getting the other side. And these take very little time. You'll thank yourself if you get this. Makes things very easy. All right, now the floor. Popped out. There we go. Usually it doesn't pop out, but you gotta watch. Alright, so this thing is getting pumped quick. No time at all. Now I just gotta do the ends, which will take about 10 seconds. Okay, now if you're fishing and you might keep what you're going to catch, now of course you can use a stringer in certain places, like if I was in a freshwater area, I didn't have to worry about anything. I could tie off the stringer right here to the seat strap. That's what I do with a stringer, and that works really well. It's convenient. Okay. But if you're in an area like I am, say you're in a saltwater, brackish environment, or you're in an area of freshwater in the south where there's alligators, wouldn't be exactly the smartest thing to do to tie a stringer, okay, to your inflatable boat when you got alligators, sharks, barracudas around. Not exactly a smart thing to do. So another tip is I've got this portable plastic cooler. It's not plastic, but I mean it's a tote, insulated tote. And I just put, that's a 10-pound bag of ice in there. It fits perfectly. It kind of form fits to the kayak. And you catch a fish, you can put it right in there and not have to worry about tying it to the boat, dragging around, worrying about toothy creatures coming up and going after it. And of course, you can just use it as a cooler. Put drinks in, food. If you're not going to be out for a while, it'll work perfectly like that. Regular coolers aren't going to fit in a kayak like this very easily, so this is a perfect fit. And you just zip it up. Yeah, can't do it with one hand, but zip it up and close it. And the ice will stay pretty good all day for several hours. Okay, another tip, if you're fishing, easy way to measure your fish, okay, is I just drew a ruler here, a measuring stick on with a waterproof marker onto the boat, and I put the most common measurements I have to watch out for as far as size limits, as you can see. So that's an easy way where you can measure a fish real quick right there beside the boat and let it go or keep it depending on its size. Another tip, if you're fishing, because space is really limited in here, instead of using live bait, it's definitely worth the investment to use Gulp Live, whatever kind of bait you want to use, because then you can just keep it, okay, right here, packed up against the seat, right under your leg, very easy to get to, and you don't have to deal with the live bait issues. So definitely worth investing the money in, even though these are kind of expensive, they're very effective baits. Okay, also you definitely want an anchor, okay, because there's so many times where you want to be in one spot. Best anchor that I've found for these inflatable kayaks, okay, is this, which I'll put the name of it on the screen here. And you can just wrap it like that, okay, when you're not using it. Okay, so just lift this off, okay, and as you can see, these pull out and then we'll dig in to the substrate wherever you're at. Does a real good job. Okay, this is the smallest weight one. Okay, I'll put a link on Amazon, link in the description box below, and you can see the different kinds. Okay, and I got the one that's under 2 pounds. That's the one I got, and this has worked very good for this kayak, for this inflatable kayak. You do want to have a lot of rope, so you can see a lot of rope because you got to let a lot out so you give it a chance to dig in. So I'll demonstrate it when I'm out in the boat here. But I've anchored in, water 10, 12 feet deep and real shallow water. It's worked really, really well. Now to tie off your anchor, it's another tip. You can either tie it right to the strap of the seat. That works real well, although when you're anchored, you're going to be kind of sideways, but it will work. Another thing you can do is tie it off up here to one of the ropes up here in the bow. Now the advantage of that, when you anchor, you'll be going straight back, which is much easier to fish, easier to maneuver. Of course, you're not going to be able to reach the rope when you're ready to pull it in, so what you got to do is you just paddle forward and you grab the rope with your hand. You might have to use the paddle to grab the rope potentially, but that shouldn't be a problem to do, so I'll kind of demonstrate that when I'm out in the kayak. Okay, we're going to demonstrate our anchoring technique here. So as I said, I have it tied off on the front of the boat where I wouldn't be able to reach it normally. So we're going to let all the anchor line out. So I'm going to unwrap and we'll let the anchor down. Oh boy, something just jumped there. So like I said, you do need a lot of line. So yeah, this is a little bit inconvenient, all this line, but it's not a big deal. You want the anchor to hold, and that's most important. If you're going to have an anchor, it's got to hold, right? So we unwrap. Because, this is shallow water in here, but if I was in deeper water, 10, 15 feet, I definitely would need this anchor line. All right, so this will slide out. These spikes come out and slide down. That'll hold it. Okay, throw it out. Now I'm just going to move the boat so we can get some tension. So now we got the anchor line out, got some tension on it, and it is indeed holding. I mean, I've been in fairly strong winds with currents, and this anchor has held. You just need to let all that line out, okay, and that will hold it real good. It'll dig in really good. Demonstrate how to get the anchor back if it's tied up in the front. So all we're going to do is just paddle forward. I'm going to try to grab the rope with my hand, and the rope should be floating, so it shouldn't be hard, but I could use a paddle to get it like that if I couldn't get it with my hand. And now it's just a matter of bringing it in. Got my anchor back. And we know what to do then. So when I bring it in, I'm going to wrap it back up because I don't want all this rope hanging out. Really doesn't take that long. All right, so we're going to close this back up, and I'm just going to quickly wrap. Again, it shouldn't take very long. And I'm getting a little water on my legs, so just keep that in mind. You are in a kayak, and that's going to happen. A little water, a little mud. I should have rinsed it off, so don't make that mistake. Rinse the anchor off so you don't get that mud on your leg from what I was sitting on. I'll remember that the next time. All right, so there we go. I'll let it out just a little bit and lay it down in the seat. And there we go, and we're ready to do a tip for fishing in a kayak. Instead of using a knife, get pliers, okay, that have the edge here that you can cut line with, because if you're trying to change baits, okay, and you got to cut some line, you really don't want to have a knife in here if you can avoid it, because if you drop it, you can easily puncture a hole in the boat. So use the cutting tool with the pliers you got, so make sure you have pliers that have a cutting tool, cutting edge, then you don't have to really worry about that. Have the boat out of the water and ready to return. Before we start rolling it up, one thing you want to do to try to keep it clean, keep it from getting dirty, is we're going to turn it over. I've got it on, this is one tip here. Try to do your boat when you're rolling it up either on grass that's not freshly cut or gravel like this, because you're not going to have things that are going to stick to it. And to avoid that even more, we're going to wipe the wettest part of the boat is the bottom. So I brought some paper towels. You could certainly use a regular towel, certainly. But I'm going to try to dry this off right now before I start rolling it up. get the moisture off, so again things don't stick to it, and that way I can get it in the bag as clean as I can, reasonably clean. It's hard to keep Sea Eagles, inflatable kayaks completely clean if you're using them a lot. So I'm going to just wipe all this off. Now that I've got this pretty dry, I'm just going to look for some real dirty patches, and I brought some Windex, and I'm just going to wipe down some of the dirtiest spots and get dirtiest spots cleaned up a little bit. May not be perfect because I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this. I'm going to get the worst spots and just do what I can with it. Again, I want to get this dry so when I turn it back over, it doesn't get dirt back on it. So I'll just get this. I'm not going to worry about the bottom too much. So again, I'm bringing Windex and paper towels. A regular towel would do the trick too. I'll just get some of the excess dirt off of this. Alright, next I'm going to turn this over now, because the other side should be dry. For the real dirty patches here on this side, just Windexing it. And I'm going to wipe that up real quick. Again, I want this dry when I'm rolling it up so the moisture doesn't attract any other dirt. So I'm not trying to get every single spot of dirt. I'm just trying to generally get it as clean as I can without a lot of work, because that defeats the purpose of using these kind of boats. You don't want a lot of work. And if you can just get the excess dirt off, that's good enough for me. So again, try to bring Windex or spray bottle water, soapy water, something like that. And you can get the excess off. There's still going to be some dirt spots, but nothing too bad. Get that. Okay. And again, you want to make sure it's dry as you're rolling this up. Okay. Well, there's a little dirty spot here. Okay. So that's just another helpful little tip. And one last tip and trick for Sea Eagle kayaks is, if you've been paddling in brackish or salt water, always rinse off your paddles. Take them apart, rinse them off under fresh water, because these can get seized up, get that salt in it, and they can get stuck, the mechanisms. And once that happens, I mean, it's pretty hard to undo them. After they're rinsed off good, let them dry out a little bit, and then you want to spray them with WD-40. So spray them with some WD-40 after these have dried off, if I'm not going to be using them for several days, which I'm not. Alright, so hopefully you found these tips and tricks useful, and we'll see you later.